Welcome everyone, my name is Tim and I'll be your Ginger Geek today. Today we'll be talking about the very first episode of Arrow and we'll be talking about the passing of Gene Wilder. So let's jump into that right now. With Season 5 of Arrow on its way, I decided to go back to the very first episode of Arrow to see a few things. One, how many things are different since the pilot, and two, how many things have actually remained the same since it started. And this is the premise of Arrow if you haven't heard about it. After 5 years of being stranded on an island, Oliver Queen, billionaire playboy, comes back to Starling City to seek vengeance against those who have done wrong against him and his family, as well as his city. Stephen Amell plays the titular character of Arrow, but he's not known as Arrow just yet. He's not even known as anything else but the Vigilante, the Hood. And as time goes on, that's when the Green Arrow persona becomes married with him. It's interesting to see how Stephen Amell was in the very first episode versus he is now. In the very first episode, since this show is coming out of the post-Dark Knight trilogy, he's very brooding and everything like that. This is pretty much a version of Batman just done with the Green Arrow character. However, he does put on a happy face for his friends and family, trying to prove that he is just a normal person dealing with these kinds of trauma. Little do they know that he's actually a vigilante. And if you look at Green Arrow Year One, written by Andy Diggle, you see how the style of that comic influenced this show. Fun fact, one of the characters from the show is named Diggle, and I assume it's because of the writer Andy Diggle and how much they took from his story. And it fascinates me to see all the characters that are dead now versus how they were alive in the very first episode. Another thing that intrigues me is something that is prevalent in the very first episode that influences the rest of those seasons of Arrow and Flash. That there's a mystery going on outside the realm of the main characters knowing, that the audience knows, and that's how the little tease at the end of the episode and how it leads into it. My final thoughts about this episode is, if you're waiting for Season 5 of Arrow to begin, I say go back to the very first episode and marathon it, because there's some kind of magic to this show that how we all fell in love with it in the first place. The look of it, the design, it's something, as well as Blake Neely's music is just fantastic. Go back to the first episode and see how everything is set up and how it plays out for the rest of the few seasons, like Deathstroke's mask, the kind of relationship that Oliver has with Thea and Diggle and the rest of the characters that show up on the show, and just enjoy it and just revel in, and you remember why you fell in love with this show in the first place. After hearing Gene Wilder's passing, I knew there's a few things I wanted to talk about in this vlog. Gene Wilder's been part of my life since I was a very little kid. I remember seeing Willy Wonka and Wizard of Oz at a very young age, and it was kind of my introduction to the cinema, and I know he's going to continue to be part of my life, and he's never going to be away from me. And to see how he's played Willy Wonka, then you'd see him in Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, and many other movies, I just want to say it was kind of a big loss, because a lot of my comedy, or my sense of comedy, is based off his movies or dealing with his sense of timing. One thing I say for all Gene Wilder's fans is go back and watch his movies as a tribute to him this weekend or in the next couple of weeks. Like, watch Young Frankenstein, watch Blazing Saddles, watch The Producers, watch anything that he's involved with, and just remember why you fell in love with his acting in the first place. I hope everybody's enjoyed this vlog, and hope you enjoyed the music and everything that's going on with it. Now, if you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me in my links below, on my Twitter, Instagram, my Facebook page, and everything like that, as well as the link to my podcast, Anything Goes, where we cover all kinds of geek and pop culture in greater length, not just in these kind of vlog little videos we got going on here. See things about like reviews like The Flash, Daredevil, the Harry Potter series, and a myriad of other things. Doctor Who being another one of those. If you like that, check out my podcast. I mean, I gotta actually wrap this up because in a little bit, my friend Justin's coming over, who's a frequent guest on my show. We're going to be covering all of Christopher Nolan's movies in the next couple of months, starting with Following. That's what the recording is tonight. My name is Tim Rooney. I hope everybody's enjoyed this vlog, and I'll talk to you soon.